I'm Noel Ginsburg, founder and CEO of CareerWise. This is a special day for CareerWise and for a summit that when I look back a number of years ago when we had our first summit and there were 20 people in the room, it's come a long way. And that is to speak of a movement, because the work that we're doing isn't intended to just be a program. It's literally intended to change the way we think about workforce and education in this country. And it starts with people like you, with the affiliates that have started down this path, and making a difference both for the businesses as well as the young people that this model touches. So why New York? New York is on the forefront of an expanding youth apprenticeship in a way that is not happening anywhere else in the country, both in terms of the size and scale, and a unique partnership that is made up of the Department of Education, the New York public school system with 1 million students, the New York Jobs CEO Council, and CareerWise. Together, we're paving the way for a new way of opportunity for young people in our communities. Before I go on, I want to recognize the CareerWise New York team. They are doing what I would say sometimes is making the impossible possible. What it takes to change hearts and minds, to create partnerships, and ultimately to scale a program like this is not easy. So I want to give them a heartfelt thanks, both for their leadership and what they're creating. So I want to share with you a little bit about my why. Why did I start CareerWise in the first place? Why did I ultimately leave the company that I founded over 42 years ago to do this work exclusively? When I started my company, I actually was in school at the University of Denver, and this was one of those class projects that turned into a business. What I realized though, whether I had 12 employees or hundreds of employees, but back then it was like 12, if I was going to be successful, I would have to find the right talent. And when I looked around, it wasn't there. So back then, not being knowledgeable, but wanting to make a difference, I reached out to a local school, and rather than saying, "You're not delivering what I need," I said, "How can I help?" And that began a journey that lasted to this day. And so what did I learn? Schools have an incredibly difficult task that's constantly expanding. And what I felt and sensed back then is the missing piece was business. We had a role in that education process, not as advisors or critics, but as participants. The second reason is an organization that was actually founded here in New York called the I Have a Dream Foundation. It's an organization that adopts inner city kids through sponsorship, typically in the 3rd grade, and stays with them till they graduate from high school, promising a college scholarship. And we do that in neighborhoods that have dropout rates as high as 90%. My wife and I and our family adopted such a class from the South Lincoln Housing Projects in Denver, Colorado, a neighborhood with a 90% dropout rate. And then we spent the next 10 years with one staff person understanding the challenges and the opportunities and the potential that these young kids had. And 10 years later, instead of a 90% dropout rate, we graduated over 90% of those kids. That sent me on a journey to find how can you do that at scale? And through a lot of iterations, I'm a slow learner, I found myself in Switzerland, in a country where 70% of all young people choose apprenticeship as a path to their future. And another 30% will go the traditional route. Those of post-secondary higher education, not much different than the US in terms of the 30%, very different in terms of the 70%. And it wasn't just in advanced manufacturing, which I assumed, it was in every occupation you can think of. The chairman of UBS Bank started as an apprentice. It was an opportunity for young people to find their way into the job market, not for a job, but for a career. And with that inspiration, came back and founded CareerWise. What youth apprenticeship can mean to the country, I think, can be transformational. What I saw with my Dreamer kids is there was, in fact, a cement ceiling over their head. They were not making it out into opportunity. They didn't have the connections. They didn't have the exposure. And what apprenticeship does can act like a cement drill through that ceiling, giving young people the opportunity for a career regardless of their zip code, their neighborhood, their ethnicity. It's an opportunity multiplier. I've seen it work. It's the inspiration that keeps me working in this space, because if we're successful, and it is an if, this is complex, it's not easy. You will learn from some of the best practitioners in the country, but it's still not a done deal. It requires business to participate in a meaningful way. It requires cultural change. So it can make a meaningful difference, but only if we turn this work into a movement, into a system, into a process that can work for businesses and young people alike. And I'll share with you one last story. And that is a conversation that I had with Senator Bennett from Colorado about a year ago. He, like I, were very concerned about the division of the country that exists to this day. And I asked the senator, is there anything else that I can do to help to change what I see in our community, in our country? And he thought for a moment and he said, you know, Noel, the real challenge in this country is if people see opportunity for themselves and their children, they will make different choices. And in his view, the division in our country, in part, is because our system is not designed to create that opportunity, that equity that everyone deserves, whether they live in a large city or in rural America. So the work we're doing is important. I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to be a part of it. And I welcome all of you into this movement and into this work. So thank you. Now, to make this work possible, it takes partnerships. And one of the first for CareerWise was PAYA, founded by New America, and it stands for the Partnership to Advance Youth Apprenticeship. You'd think I'd like to have that by heart. And what I can tell you about Taylor, who is our next speaker, and our partner in this summit, is they're incredibly thoughtful. They do their homework. They provide the research. They have enabled us to be more successful, to stronger. They've empowered us to help others along that path. So I can't thank you, Taylor, enough. One of the best minds in this sector in the United States. Taylor, welcome to the stage.
Thank you for that, Noel. That was very kind of you. Unfortunately for you all, my role is actually to be the hype girl. So I'm not gonna do any of those nice things that Noel said I'm capable of, and instead I'm gonna get you all excited for our time ahead. But before I do that, just really briefly, welcome everyone. As Noel said, my name is Taylor White. I'm here from New America, where I lead an initiative called the Partnership to Advance Youth Apprenticeship. And much like Noel's reflection on the first summit CareerWise hosted, I was a guest at a CareerWise summit, I think in 2018, perhaps. And there were about 40 of us, if that, in a room in Denver. And Tway, who is now the apprenticeship ambassador in a full-time role at CareerWise Colorado, checked me in as a youth apprentice. And now we're frequently inviting him to speak on webinars and join us in meetings tackling all parts of this work. So it's fun to see this full circle, and it's always really exciting to see how many people have joined the conversation and joined this movement over the years. For those of you who don't know the Partnership to Advance Youth Apprenticeship, PAYA, we are a national field building initiative that supports place-based partnerships that are working to launch and grow high-quality youth apprenticeship programs that are designed to provide more affordable, more equitable, more reliable post-secondary pathways for young adults. Many of you are part of the PIA network, which this year welcomed a number of new members, more than 25 new members, and we have about 70 folks that participate in the network now, and together they enroll more than 13,000 young adults who are in apprenticeship. Many of them are youth apprenticeship as you understand it. Some of them are programs that are evolving to meet many of the high standards that you all have set for yourselves. So it's been exciting to watch over the years as that number's ticked up and up and up, and we're very excited that some of you are here at this National Summit for the first time. New America leads PIA, but we do that work working very, very closely with a number of national partners, as Noel alluded to. Some of them are here, but before I name them, I want to make sure we give a huge thank you to CareerWise for hosting this event and for their continued partnership in advancing the field, not just in the communities where they work directly with programs that bear their name, but through a lot of the technical assistance they provide to sites all over the country who are just getting started on this journey. And many of you know who I'm talking about. We send you to them to answer all sorts of questions about what it takes to launch and grow these programs, what their numbers look like, what their experiences have been, and we really just can't say enough about the willingness of the CareerWise staff to lead and lend their expertise to the field. So we're hugely thankful for that. And PIA is officially a co-sponsor of this event, but I have to say, I need to shout out Shauna and Ryan, who I think have really carried and done the lion's share of the work leading up to today. So I think as and they have put together a really fabulous couple of days for us here, and I will walk through the agenda in just a minute. But big shout out to those guys and their team, and I'd also just like to shout out our team here at New America, who is in the back somewhere over there, who work on PIA. Many of you have encountered them. Also, just a really quick shout out and thank you to the other PIA national partners who are here lending their expertise at sessions across the week. We've got folks from JFF, National Governors Association, Trident Tech, and the National Alliance for Partnership and Equity, who will be hosting sessions over the course of the 3 days together, and can answer any questions for you about the work that they do on their own as organizations, but also the work that they are contributing to PIA. So thanks for being here. I'll also just really want to quickly recognize all of our supporters in the audience. There are a number of foundations and other entities that support the work of PIA and CareerWise, and many of you in your local spots. So big thanks to all of them. The last thank you is owed to you for making the trip. Right? You have very busy meetings. We know for many, busy lives rather. We know for many of you that coming to New York for a 3-day meeting in the middle of a busy fall is a lot to ask. And so we're really grateful that you've made the time, and I wanna make sure that you understand it's not just you and your colleagues in the room today. So here's where I have to shift gears into hype girl mode, and I'm gonna yell out where I think you're from, and I want you to yell back at us, to tell us where you're from. Hype girl is not my natural mode, by the way, so I'm trying very hard here. All right, so we have a big contingent here, no doubt, from the great state of Indiana. Where are you at? Oh my. All right, we shouldn't have we should have finished with you all. Colorado. All right, okay. How about California? Ooh, Washington State? Yes. Illinois? We got some. All right. How about North Carolina? Oh, my information is not correct here. New York. There we go. There's a safe one. How about Minnesota? Ooh, who'd I miss? DC. Woo! All right, Maryland. We got Maryland, DC. I missed my own home. South Carolina in the back. Woo! Ohio. Arizona. Connecticut, the nutmeg state. New Orleans, Louisiana. Montana. Woo. Where?
Michigan!
I don't even have to repeat that one. Michigan. All right. Anyone? Final countdown.
State of Texas!
Texas. How'd we miss you? There were 2 states yelled out there, though. Texas and Kansas, Atlanta, Georgia. My goodness, we've got a lot of states covered here. One from New Hampshire. Welcome. The Granite State. Who else? Oh my God, this is going on way longer than I thought. I'm gonna need my extra time. But anyhow, we'll get you all at some point. But that is proof, as much proof as you need, that there are far more people from more places around the country trying to do this work in very different contexts, very different labor markets, in very different education systems. And this is a really fantastic opportunity to come together, to exchange ideas, to share best practices, and even to some extent to commiserate about what is hard about this work, because you really are trying to do something that is very, very different. And you are asking individuals and programs and systems to work differently, work with people they might not normally work with, and really shift the status quo in the way that we understand how young people prepare for their next step after high school. And that includes not just changing the hearts and minds of young people and their families, but of education systems, of the workforce system, of employers, and the many, many different community organizations that support all of that activity. So welcome, and thank you for being here. To give you an even bigger thank you for being here, the nice folks from CareerWise have some gifts for you. The first thing, yeah, thank you, yeah. We don't know what the gifts are yet though, so it's fine that so if you reach under your chair, reach under the front of your chair, a couple of you have something stuck to the bottom of your chair. No one at this front table. You're yeah. We got one in the side here. All right, sir. Shauna, who has already found you, has a gift for you. And we have one more hidden out there. Ooh, in the back, also on the right-hand side, under the exit sign, Shauna. She is right back there. All right, so those are some gifts to get you started. We have one more opportunity for all of you to win something, and we're getting very close to the moment where you will have the opportunity. But before we get there, I have been asked to let you know what fun you have in store with all of these people from all of these states over the next few days. So just very briefly, many of you have picked up an agenda when you checked in. If you could take a look at that, I'm gonna give you a high-level overview of that. And rest assured, we'll be giving you more detailed instructions as you are coming in and out of the day's events. But today, once you're rid of me, we'll have an opportunity to hear a bit more about the New York story that Noel alluded to in his opening remarks, and think a little bit about together what it takes to form and kind of grow these public-private partnerships on which youth apprenticeship relies. And then we're going to zoom out from there and look at some federal strategies for unlocking youth apprenticeship, and hear from leadership from the U.S. Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Labor. Tomorrow, when we reconvene, we are going to start the day with employers who drive a lot of this work, as you all know, and hear what it takes to both be good partners and also to really welcome young people into the workplace. We really want tomorrow to be an opportunity for you all to work with each other, hear from each other, and learn from programs across the country that are doing this work. And so we have breakout sessions in the morning and the afternoon. In between those, you'll have an opportunity to hear both an international perspective from Dr. Ursula Reynold from ETH Switzerland, and also hear from a number of national organizations that are doing work to advance policy and systems change in support of youth apprenticeship around the country. As I said, in the afternoon, you'll have some breakout sessions, and we'll close the day by the very best part of any one of these events, an apprentice panel. And we'll hear from the apprentices and their family. I already see Marie is excited about that right there in the middle. They are the very best part. They are the why of why all of us do this work. So I hope that you will join us and stick around tomorrow afternoon for that, to hear from the folks who are enrolled and helping young people move through these programs. And we'll close tomorrow with a networking happy hour with alumni from the CareerWise New York program and several of their current apprentices as well. On Friday, you're in for a real treat. This is an opportunity to do an even deeper dive into what's happening here in youth apprenticeship in New York. You will have two options to work here. We'll all start here in the morning with a really exciting opening. And then folks will have an opportunity to divide and conquer a series of sessions. There is an opportunity to go with the school innovation session, or to attend the a deep dive into the sort of nuts and bolts of how JP Morgan Chase's youth apprenticeship program operates. And that will kick off the day with a speaker, with hearing from Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, which is a real treat for the group, and understanding and really hearing some of the work that he and the folks at JP Morgan have done to make that possible. And then you'll have an opportunity to hear directly from some of the staff who are working on the front lines with those apprentices and what it takes to train mentors, be mentors, supervise young people, help them become successful in the workplace, and really get a chance to roll up your sleeves. I know employer engagement is top of mind for many of you, so it'll be a great series of conversations. Not to undersell the very exciting school innovation sessions, however, and those will be a great opportunity to see what it looks like to be working in the K-12 system and making it work from the school's perspective. And that, friends, is a very packed agenda. You'll have a chance to hear about New York. You'll have a chance to hear about the national agenda. You'll have a chance to hear about the international agenda in research on topics related to youth apprenticeship. And by the time we send you home on Friday, you will be ready for the weekend. Although I understand many of you are spending the weekend in New York, so good luck on Monday. Before we get started, however, we want to make sure you have a chance to actually get to meet one another even more deeply than shouting out the states you're from. So I have been asked to introduce the bingo game that is on your table. How many of you have played bingo? Yeah, okay. There's more of you have played bingo than that, I am sure. There are cards in front of you. There are pens in front of you. We are going to spend about 5 minutes working. You're going to get up from your seats. You can talk to folks at your table. You can turn around and find the folks at the table behind you if you'd like. But you will have 5 minutes to get as far as you can on this bingo card. Don't get started. I see people standing up. Jenny over here, head start. You have 5 minutes. If you get your bingo, shout it out. It does not end when one person gets bingo. There are multiple prizes. So we are going to keep going until we can't keep going any longer. So please get started. And if you want to cheat, I'll give you one right off the bat. I took a train to this conference.